Someone came up to me at the show and they were like, did you see me on stage? This is nothing to against this guy, because I've done this, everyone's done this. It's just kind of a mindset thing I'm trying to learn. He's like, you see me on stage? I was like, no, like, I'm sorry, man, I missed it. He's like, oh, like, I didn't win, but like, my coach told me, my friends told me, like, I really should have had. And as soon as he said that, I was like, shh. I just like hushed him. And normally I would just like listen and be like, yeah, totally, man. But I was like, man, you gotta get that mindset out of your head of if you thought you should have won, if you should have won in anything in life, if you feel like you should have gotten something and you didn't, if you feel like you earned something and you didn't get it, that's a mindset everyone has to just fucking like let go. You're not entitled to anything, you can't expect anything, you just have to work your absolute hardest and understand that even with that work, you might not get first place. You might not get a promotion, a job, or whatever the fuck it is you want. You have to move the fuck on and get back to work, because sitting there and saying, oh, I should have won this, I should have beat this guy, or I did beat this guy, but the judge just didn't want to give it to me. Usually, in your mind, your ego just not convincing you that you weren't good enough, convincing you that you were good enough when you weren't. But get that shit out of your head. Get back to work. Don't tell anybody you should have won when you didn't. Accept what happened and move the fuck on. That's what champions do. Fuck shit up.
I saw a bodybuilding magazine that had Reg Park on the cover. Reg Park was then a 3-time Mr. Universe. And I saw him on the big screen as Hercules. And on the cover it said, how Reg Park, Mr. Universe, became the Hercules star. That's what the cover story was all about. So I looked at the cover and I said to myself, I got to get this magazine. So I bought the magazine, I took it home and I read it over and over from the front page to the back. It had everything in there, how he trained, how he was working out in Leeds, England, in a factory town, how he worked out every day for 3-4 hours and became the strongest man of Europe, and how he won Mr. Europe and Mr. Great Britain, and then eventually Mr. Universe, and how he won the second Mr. Universe and the third Mr. Universe, and how he was discovered to play the starring role in Hercules. I read that and I said to myself, wow, this is the blueprint for my life. This is exactly what I want to do. I want to become a bodybuilding champion just like Reg Park. I want to get into movies just like Reg Park. And I want to make millions of dollars and be rich and famous just like Reg Park. Do you know how great it felt that I knew where I was going? Imagine the majority of people don't know where they're going. I knew where I was going, that I'm going to become this bodybuilding champion just like him. So it was just a question of how do you do it? I was so relieved, because when you have a goal, when you have a vision, everything becomes easy. Because remember that in America, for instance, when you study, you will see the percentage of people that like their jobs. 74% hate their job in America. Now, there is not much different when you come to Europe. The majority of people don't like what they're doing, because they're really not doing it because they didn't have a goal and they followed this goal. They just aimlessly drift around, and then all of a sudden there's a job opening, so they get that job because you have to work. But then when you work, it's a chore. It's work. It's not fun. So if you think about, only a quarter of the people really enjoy what they're doing in life. That is unbelievable if you think about it. So I felt so blessed that I knew what I was doing. It's like a medical student that studies and knows he wants to become a doctor. You know where to go. So I knew where to go. So people always ask me, when they saw me in the gym in the pumping iron days, they said, why is it that you're working out so hard? 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and you have always a smile on your face. The others are working out just as hard as you do, and they look sour in the face. Why is that? And I told people all the time, I said, because to me, I'm shooting for a goal. In front of me is the Mr. Universe title. So every rep that I do gets me closer to accomplishing that goal, to make this goal this vision turn into reality. Every single set that I do, every repetition, every weight that I lift will get me a step closer to turn this goal into reality. So I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound squat. I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound bench press. I couldn't wait to do another 2,000 reps of sit-ups. I couldn't wait for the next exercise, for the next half hour posing and all the kind of things that you have to do to be a champion.
People always ask me all the time, every year after year, how do you stay motivated to do this? The Lord, that's how I stay motivated. This is a hobby for me. This is something that I truly love to do. I was put here on earth to do, and that's how I stay motivated, because I love doing this. And I couldn't have done anything else in life but this.
This is not a sprint. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's a race. Long distance race.
Yeah.
It's not all about getting big fast. You want to do things slowly. Okay?
Pace yourself, in other words.
Pace yourself, absolutely. And you gotta know how to make adjustments as you go on. Get the right people in your corner. Okay? I've had the same handful of people my whole career in my corner. If I look like shit, you look like shit. They're gonna tell me that. You want people to be 100 with you. You don't want no guys that's gonna say, you look great when you really don't, because they don't want to hurt your feelings. You want your feelings hurt. That way you're gonna work harder.
But I think you have to be realistic about this, and you have to see what you look like in photos and feedback from others, and then pace yourself according to that. You can have a lot of illusions about what you look like, and it can be way off. I've seen that. People get on stage. They may have been in great shape the year before, and they come back the year later and they've gained some weight, and they look worse because they're smoother. I can name examples, but I don't want to incriminate anybody. But you really have to be in touch with that. And like I say, the best way is through photographs, reviewing that.
When I did my first Arnold Classic, I put it out there that I wanted to be top 3.
Okay.
Being top 3 got me 5th. See? So sometimes you say like, oh, I want 3rd. It may not work out like that.
Very good.
He got 5th. See, I know, I won't mention his name. A friend of mine, he won 1 Mr. Olympia. And he said all I wanted to do was win 1. And that's all that happened. So you sell yourself short. And I think that's okay. That's their dream, whatever. For me, hell no. I looked at it for what it was. I was, young enough, and I was good enough. And I didn't have any injuries at the time. It was more like, why not?
The best tips I can probably give on staying motivated in a routine and also staying on a strict diet, pretty much you have to have the discipline. I mean, you have to fit your bodybuilding lifestyle into your current lifestyle. So I always suggest having a food plan, whether you cook your meals ahead of time or, pretty much I think the best thing to do is plan ahead. I think a lot of people just try to go by the flow, and that's not necessarily the best way because active life gets in the way. I think you have to have a set schedule. I think you should I like to journal a lot of things. I did that early in the beginning. I wrote down all my meal plan. I wrote down my workout routines, even sets and reps, movement through the day. That gave me a basic guideline to keep me motivated. I mean, I could look back and say, okay, how's my progression on this? And sometimes I watch videos online, and that's the nice thing about the internet and be able to follow people on social aspect is you can use a lot of those motivational tips and also the videos and the things that people post really to help motivate yourself. I didn't have that in the beginning. I mean, I picked up magazines or I listened to music, obviously, on the way to get pumped up to go to the gym, but we have so much more outlets nowadays. And I think really just finding the set pattern for the basic person, fitting those meals in there to fuel the workouts, and setting that set routine where you're day in, day out, following the same program, and that will allow yourself to make improvements. And let's be honest, seeing improvements is going to be a motivating factor to anyone. And that's honestly, people say, Jay, how did you become so successful? Well, listen, I had great success from the beginning. That's really what gave me the drive and the motivation. Anyone that's good at something, obviously strives to be better and better. They want to see how far their potential actually goes, and I think that's the same thing with trying to see what the weight training, of course, getting your body in the right kind of condition, whether it be to be a bodybuilder competitively, just to be fit, or basically to lose body fat. I think anything in progression and success is going to give you that edge and keep you motivated.
Well, motivation is important because when you're going to the gym and you're going to push to 100%, which you need to do, after a certain point, okay, for 6 or 12 months you can make progress doing anything because your body's not accustomed to it. But sooner or later it gets accustomed to it. Then you need to push yourself into a zone which is not comfortable. So why are you going to make yourself uncomfortable in pain? Only if you have a motivation. So you have to discover what's your motivation and why you want this, what do you want to do, what do you want to achieve, and why you want to achieve it, and if this is important to you. And if it's important to you, then this is the motivation, and the goals are motivation. If you set yourself a goal and you write it down, and this month I want to achieve 5 kilos more on my bench press, or whatever, I'm just using an example. But you have these goals to keep you motivated and keep going forward. If you don't really have a clear idea about what you want to achieve and how important this is to you, it's going to be difficult to make much progress. You need to know why you're going to the gym today, exactly what you're doing, and what's your goal of going to the gym that day, and why you're going to push yourself until you feel nauseous and you feel pain, because you want the end result. But not only, for me, it was not only about the end result, it was about mastery over myself. It was that I could push myself through this when part of me is saying, no, I don't want to do this because it's hurting, it's uncomfortable. So me, Dorian, I want the end goal, so I override that. So in order to do that all the time, you need some goals and you need some motivation, and this has to be your personal goals. Mine was to compete in bodybuilding and Mr. Olympia and so on, but everybody has to have their own goals, and they have to always be reminding themselves of what that is. And of course, when you're going to the gym and you're in the gym and you're training, you're not growing, you're breaking down and you're putting stress on your body. Then your body has to recover, and to do this you need adequate rest and you need correct nutrition. And of course, supplements can be a great help, and they've improved and developed tremendously since I was in the 80s, very basic supplements and so on. So the nutrition and the training is, and the supplementation, it all goes together. So the more perfect you can get each area, the better results you're going to get. But to make it in short, you need to train efficiently, train very hard and very intensely, but not for a long period of time. Most people equate going to the gym and spending more time in the gym with success. But I can tell you, I've won Mr. Olympia 6 times, and I set new standards at that point in as far as physique development and muscle mass. And I never trained more than 4 times a week, 45-50 minutes a session. And I was a professional. That meant I didn't have another job. I didn't have many stresses that many people have. So most people would be more effective if they went to the gym only 2 or 3 times for an hour, but they put 100% into those workouts, both physically and mentally, and that's when you're going to progress consistently.